So good to see you. Welcome to our Pathways training session for the Cherry Creek Toastmasters and Toastmasters in general. I'm Elizabeth, your Vice President of Education, and I'm really so glad that you're taking advantage of this amazing opportunity to enhance your Toastmasters journey and attend the session. So we have a lot to cover today, and we'll be moving through this quite rapidly since we're on a time limit. So to keep things running smoothly, please type any of your questions in the chat and then we will get to them at the end and be sure to address them at the questions and answer session at the end of our presentation. Now, to kick things off, I'd like to hand this over to Nancy Spurry, who will be walking us through the most valuable resources of our new Toastmasters website. It's redone, and she and Betsy Rubner will be walking us through the valuable information available through Cherry Creek Toastmasters and Toastmasters International. So Nancy, take it away.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and welcome everybody. I want to spend just a couple of minutes to explain a couple of things to you that what we are going to talk about and what we are not going to talk about. First of all, there's been a bit of confusion about the Cherry Creek Toastmasters Quick Start Guide, and I'm going to be putting that in the chat when Betsy is doing her demo. This is intended to just give you additional information that you can look at before you log into Toastmasters International's Pathways. It will give you something that it's a piece of paper that you can read. It does not replace Pathways. It's simply an additional resource that we created to help people get into the program as quickly as possible. That said, I also want to share my screen with you and show you a resource that is underused, and that is the Cherry Creek Toastmasters website. How many people have seen the Cherry Creek Toastmasters website? Some of you have, many of you have not. This is our website only. It has information relating only to our club. And just so you know, right down here where it says YouTube, you can access our YouTube channel, and that's where the replay of this training will be loaded. You can also get here after you log in, if you go to the members only tab and you go to member downloads, when you're looking for a schedule, if you're looking for the quick start guide, if you're looking for the welcome new member manual, if you're looking for any of the club documents that we use to run our meetings, this is where they live. You have the ability to access these on your own. You don't have to send a note to me and say, would you please send it to me? What this is not is Pathways. And what I want to do next is hand this off to Betsy Rubner, who will talk to you about the Pathways program, which lives on the Toastmasters International website, not to be confused with the Cherry Creek Toastmasters website. So Betsy,
I am going to share my screen. Can everybody see this? Okay, good. So we're going to start today with, we're not going to start logging on. This training is not about how to make an account on Toastmasters International. So if you haven't actually gone on to Toastmasters International, just reach out to us and if you need help, but I'm sure you can figure it out. There's under your name, there are two places where you can go. You can go to My Home or My Profile. My Profile, just for your own information, has all the information that Toastmasters has about you. So should your address change or your email change or something like that, you can update that on your profile. And that's something that you can take a look at some other time. Generally, what we're all going to do is go to My Home. And when we get to My Home, my computer is pretty ding dang slow. Oh, I gotta log in. Sorry, I thought I was already logged in. This is what I was trying to avoid. My apologies. I should have done this before we started. Okay, now I'm actually logged on, really. And where we are is my home. And you'll see that it says home. And what we see here are several different sections. Mostly we're going to spend our time on Basecamp. I would say spend your time there. Don't worry about Learning Hub or Achievement right now unless you're really curious about it. Leadership Central is for the officers of the club. And then there's some various things that Toastmasters provides for you. I would say don't worry about these timers and things because we already have a whole program set up with all that. You can explore these other things. I just also want to point out that it says how to renew. And we had actually at our meeting today, we talked about how to renew your dues. Renewing is paying your dues. And you don't pay Toastmasters International. We take care of that for you, so don't go there. Just follow all the instructions. And I just sent out an email today that has all the information about dues in our process, so you can go back and refer to that. The most important thing we're here today for is go to Basecamp. And when I do that, it's going to show me the paths and learning that I have. So this Toast Pathways Mentor Program is not a path. There are 6 different paths. I talked about them in my presentation that is up on YouTube, so you can find out about that there. An important thing to note is that I have 2 paths going. You'll notice they say that they're in progress. So I am going to click on that. I'm going to click on Presentation Mastery. And it is going to take me to my path. And I just want to talk briefly about the path interface. So the first thing you look at on the left is kind of a dashboard that has, it's called a navigation tool, I think. It's a side panel that has links. Sorry, I promised I wouldn't scroll like that. It has links to all the training components that are available to you in the Pathways program. In my presentation mastery, you'll see that my progress is 48% complete. What I want to do is take a look at the overview. And while this is a single path, this is the presentation mastery path, everything that I talk about today is true for all paths. And what I'm going to do is just collapse this for a moment. Now, you'll see that I have 5 levels. Every path has 5 levels. You'll see the check marks. I've completed level 1 and level 2. I'm working on level 3. Each level contains projects, and we'll talk a little bit more about projects in detail, but just know that you can work on any project in any level at any time. But you cannot complete the path unless you've completed all levels. And you cannot complete a level unless you've completed the levels above it. So for example, I could get everything done in level 4, but I couldn't complete it because my level 3 is not complete. So my suggestion to you is to at least complete levels 1 and 2 and get a basic sort of overview of all the levels. And I'll show you a little bit more about that in a bit. Now, what we're going to do is look at level 1. Level 1, it shows 1 to icebreaker, writing a speech with purpose, introduction to vocal variety and body language, evaluation and feedback, and then level 1 completion. That would suggest to you that there are 4 projects. There are. It might suggest to you that there are 4 speeches, but there are more than 4 speeches. Each one of the first 3 is a single speech as part of the project. But the 4th project, evaluation and feedback, actually consists of 2 speeches and fulfilling an evaluator role in the club, like schedule yourself or take over when somebody is looking for an evaluator to complete that part of the project. We're going to take a look at the icebreaker. And what you will see on the left-hand side, I'm going to collapse this for a minute. When I clicked into that, it shows me all of the projects for level 1, those 4 projects. But I am going to actually go to the icebreaker project. Can you see that? Did it click in fast enough? And I'm going to click on the very first page. When you're working on a project, always click on the first tile or navigation bar here, because what you will get is an overview. This tells about the icebreaker, and then it provides some resources for you. In this case, there are 4 resources: the project checklist, the evaluation resource. Every project has an evaluation resource, and the actual written description of the project and all of the little pieces and parts, because you can see there's lots of pieces and parts in this, and we're just looking at the very first piece. Now, what I'm going to do is I have in my tabs, I've already selected some of these, so I'm just going to click on them so that you can see what they are. The project checklist, I think, is very useful, particularly when you get into the higher levels and a more complicated projects, or something like when you have a multi-speech project. What you see here is the checklist, and it gives you the description. This is a 4 to 6 minute speech. And then these are the various things that you do. You can schedule your speech, which we do for you. You write it, you communicate it. It's all pretty basic stuff. But when you get into further into other projects, there'll be more things to look at here, or more things to check off. Here is your evaluator form, and I am not going to scroll through it, but I just would suggest that you take a look at an evaluator form. And in fact, whichever project you're working on, if you haven't started working on Pathways, someone like Ron could go and actually just go through all of the icebreaker components to see what's available. And then when you start looking at projects, the more detailed projects, you'll see that there are more resources available. This is an example of the written description of the icebreaker. It's level 1. And you'll see that there's 4 parts, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there's introduction and assignment, learning in the icebreaker, you and your goals, prepare and finish, and then understanding the evaluation, review and apply. All of these things are basically fleshed out in detail on digitally. So if we go back to the page, the first page, and you saw all those components, you would just click through each one of them. Or alternatively, you could just scroll through this and say, oh, I'm interested in something. And I'm going to scroll. It tells you about resources. And it also talks to you about Know, Wonder, Learned. To get started, you start every project kind of the same way. So you'll just read through this document and you'll learn how the project works. And you can do it all offline, but you do have to actually go back online to complete the project. This is a resource. This is the speech outline worksheet. And what this is for somebody who's doing their first Toastmasters speech. It literally tells you what to do. You do a title, these are the points that you're going to speak about, and then it actually tells you how to organize your speech. So it's a terrific resource for somebody who's just starting out. And then finally, or not finally, but I'm just going to show you quickly some of the other resources for the other level 1 projects. So writing a speech with purpose is you select a topic that appeals to you. Be sure it's narrow enough to be effective in a 5 to 7 minute speech. Note that almost all of the projects are 5 to 7 minutes. And then it just tells you what it includes. And then similarly, it gives you a worksheet. This is a speech outline worksheet, but it's a little more detailed because you're focusing on a different aspect of speechcraft. And then here's another worksheet. And then there's a project list checklist for vocal variety and body language. Now, everybody who spoke today was interested in vocal variety and body language. And had they gone through all of this material, they may have had some pointers that they could have actually implemented when they were working on their speech. Or they could just do a speech where they focus on just vocal variety or just body language or both. And then there's a project checklist, and I wanted to show you this because this is the evaluation and feedback project. And remember, I said there were 2 speeches. So this describes you present a speech, and then you get feedback, and then you present another speech and you incorporate that feedback. So it can be a speech on any topic. Your second speech can be the same speech, but improving it. You could, for example, Adija had her contest speech. She could play with that because that was a great speech, but maybe she wants to take some of the feedback that she got after she completed or after she competed in the area contest. So you can use it any way that is of use to you. And then you have to be a speech evaluator. So you have to serve as evaluator. Generally, you will be scheduled as an evaluator your first quarter. But if you're not, just keep your eyes out on the emails and volunteer to be an evaluator. And sometimes we even call for evaluator hot seats like we did today. So, well, let me go back here to, this is my outline. Remember I said there's level 1, there's level 2, has 3 projects. Level 3 has 1 project, and then you do 2 electives. Now, I have selected 2 electives, Inspire Your Audience and Researching and Presenting. However, there are many different electives. So I just wanted to show them to you. There's Deliver Social Speeches using presentation software, Connecting with your audience, Prepare for an interview. So there may be an elective that basically supports what you're doing or something, a skill that you want to actually improve or focus on. And you can choose, you are required to choose at least 2 of these projects. If you want to do more, you're certainly welcome to, but you only are required to do 2. Now, if I go back here, I think I've described the interface. Now, let me go back to what we were looking at with the icebreaker, because I just want to show you a couple of different things. And also how to start. How you start is you come to the first page, and then you'll go to Introduction and Assignment. And it will tell you a little bit more about it and give you more description of your assignment. If you click the next, this is the important one, you get to assess and reflect where you are before you start your project. And then it shows you the competencies that you will be working on and enhancing for this particular project. So you want to go through that. Then once you've completed it, you can come through and you can go through and see what they have to say about Toastmasters evaluation. And then you can review that and reply, and then you complete your assignment. And to complete your assignment, it tells you the project purpose, the overview. You can check off all the things you've done. And then, you'll reflect on your learning. And that's where you...
Sorry, I don't understand.
Sorry, Siri thinks I'm talking to her. You'll complete the section of learned, wonder, learned, know, wonder, know, wonder, learned. And then finally, you'll complete your, wait, I just want to make sure, yes. So I'm going to go to the next one because there's an important thing here. First, this is the stuff that you said you knew. These are the things that you were wondering about. And now there's something that you've learned. You can go into as much detail or as little as you want. But I wanted to point out that on completing your project, you have the opportunity to put in your speech details. And those of us that have been in Toastmasters for more than 20 years have given so many speeches. And, unless we had really organized files on our computer, there's no list of our speeches anywhere. If we didn't keep our books, then we don't know what speeches we gave. Here, you can keep track of it all online. And those of you who are new, I recommend that you take advantage of that and do it. With that said, I have one more thing that I'd like to mention, and that is oops, wrong one. The president's, or what did they call it? What did they call it? This is our club performance.
Distinguish.
So
President's Distinguished.
I asked Nancy how many President's Distinguished Awards we've received, and she said too many to count. In order to become so every club in the whole world has goals. And these are our goals. We all have similar goals. We have goals to achieve some levels. We have goals for membership, goals for training, and goals for administration. When you complete 9 goals, you are then considered a President's Distinguished Club, and you have a year to complete this. So you have from July 1st to June 30th. And you can see that we've completed everything, but we have one more goal to meet to become President's Distinguished. And you'll notice we're missing level 1 awards. We're missing 2. So I am going to stop sharing because I want to look at everybody. And in particular, I want to look at the newer people. And I want to say, how many of you can put in the chat, how many of you have completed, how many speeches have you completed? If you're new to the club in the last 6 months. So I am going to stop sharing because I want to look at everybody. And in particular, I want to look at the newer people. And I want to say, how many of you can put in the chat, how many of you have completed, how many speeches have you completed? If you're new to the club in the last 6 months or completely new to Pathways. Nobody's writing down. Adisha, how many you've completed? 3?
I'm thinking 3.
Okay, so you've completed 3 speeches on level 4. I mean, on level 1, you actually need to complete 5 speeches. Could you complete 5 speeches by June 30th?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And maybe Allie, how about you?
Would Adisha count her speech from her?
You can count her.
She can count her contest.
You count your contest speech once because that's the same speech. I think you only count it once. I don't know. You can probably count it as many times as you want, but I would suggest you count it once and do 3 separate products because you have 2 more projects that you can do.
So we just
Allie, how about you or Christian?
So we just need to complete 5, correct?
5, well, you need to complete 4 projects, which in level 1 is 5 speeches. So you need to go and look, but the speeches are your icebreaker, which you've already done. Then you have your evaluation speech. So the first speech, you've given a second speech after you've received evaluation. So you could probably count it that, or you could count that as a speech with a purpose or vocal variety and body language.
Yeah, I can definitely do 5.
And see, the 2 of you or Christian too could sing. The 2 of you could make our club a President's Distinguished Club. You're new, but you're powerful. So that's all I had to say. And I've used up all our Q&A time. So if you are willing, oh, Christian, I'm sorry you're sick. If you're willing to stay a little bit longer, we're happy to answer any questions. So everybody can unmute now.
So did you say an evaluation counts as a speech? Is that correct?
No, but you do have to complete an evaluation.
Okay.
So
it is part of the evaluation and feedback project, which consists of 2 speeches and 1 acting as an evaluator.
I have a question regarding the approval process. Does every project need to be approved by our education director, or some do and some don't?
We only approve level. Oh, no, wait.
Just the levels.
We only approve levels, right?
So once you complete a level, when you submit that, it triggers an email that goes to Elizabeth, our VP of Education, and she confirms that in fact you did complete this, and she signs off on it.
So, but we have, so you have to complete every project in order to complete the level. And just make sure you go to complete my project, whether you go through the whole project. And I would recommend in some cases that you do. When I was giving my speech the other day, day I talked about the fact that I'm doing this team building event, I did actually get some good ideas from that. So
So when we're in the portal, when we check it off, then we go down and submit it. And once that submits, it goes elsewhere. Okay.
yeah, that's for the level. So when you complete a project, you just complete the project. You don't have to submit it. But when you complete a level, you submit it.
So it's 5 speeches and an evaluation, or 4 speeches?
Yeah,
and
5 speeches and an evaluation.
Okay. And
And
then
one could consider an evaluation a short speech.
say that again.
One could consider an evaluation a short speech.
Okay.
But my recommendation is that you go to your path and just look at what the projects are. And so you've done some speeches, figure out which projects the speeches would suitably apply to, which is in level 1, most of them, almost any speech you give can be applied to it. And then I would look at the other projects and I would have an idea in mind what I wanted to do to complete the projects. When you get up to the higher levels, there'll be one of them, one of the projects that you can do, I think it's an elective project, is serve as a club officer. So you'll be able to complete that project in level 4 or level 5 before you completed level 1 and 2, or level 2, let's say. But you don't have to work on them in order, but you have to complete them in order.
So when I did the speech for the contest, I did it twice at the club, so I would count that once. But can I count the contest at once?
I think so.
I did it 3 times, but the 2 at the club, I think I would count as one.
The 2 at the club, you could count for the 2 speeches for evaluation and feedback.
Right, because I got a lot
and then you got it.
feedback.
And then and I don't know if you have to give a different speech, sort of like.
You don't. They actually encourage you to give the same speech again after you've gotten feedback from the club. So you did it the first time
project,
and you got feedback from that,
yeah.
And then you did it a second time and you employed the feedback. So you've satisfied the criteria for those 2 speeches and evaluation and feedback.
And you've also been an evaluator.
So you have completed that project.
But you have to go online and complete the project. So you have to go through it and complete the project.
But it seems like I still need one more speech.
Well, you did your icebreaker.
Right.
And then you've done so out of you have 2 more projects.
2 more.
You have the vocal variety and body language speech and the speech with a purpose.
Okay.
But haven't you given
contest speech would be a vocal variety, wouldn't it?
But she could only count the speech for 1 project, I would say. But I mean, you don't do 1 speech and check off all the projects. That makes sense.
I'm going to check off as many boxes as I can with that.
But Adisha, you've done your icebreaker, but didn't you do another speech beside your icebreaker and your
That's what I was trying to figure out.
I thought you did another one.
You might.
I agree. I think you have to.
Yeah.
So look into that, because then you would only have 1 more speech to do. And Christian, you said you did 2 speeches, and you've been an evaluator, right? You can.
I have not been an evaluator yet.
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
Yeah, my 3rd would have been today, but I was going to ask a question along the lines of what Adisha said. Do these have to be speeches that are given in the club? Because I've been asked to speak on a panel.
Many of the speeches in levels 3, 4, and 5 are done outside of the club. If you have somebody, you can get credit for speeches that are done outside of the club.
Okay.
And there's probably something similar to speaking on a panel. I don't have all the electives. So the electives, I showed you the electives for level 3. Like if you were doing presentation software, you could use that if you were doing a slideshow. But for level 4 and level 5, each level has a different set of electives. And each of the set of electives are a little more, they're like obviously bigger challenges because you've worked through the first 3 levels and you're applying yourself to bigger and better things. That's the idea.
I would like to be the gatekeeper on time. We promised this would be a 30-minute presentation, and we have taken all 30 of those minutes. And if there's more questions, if anybody would like to stay late, I think I'll stop the recording now. And we're happy to stay on and answer more questions. Elizabeth, did you have something to say?
I was just going to thank everybody for joining us this evening for this Pathways training session, and we hope that you found all the resources and the live demo to be helpful in navigating this journey of yours, your Toastmasters journey. And remember, you have the CCTM quick start guide, you have which is the club website, we have the Toastmasters International website to help develop your learning and your skills. And I'd like to thank Nancy and Betsy for taking the time to go through this. It was really wonderful and very helpful. It was helpful for me, and I think the website is amazing, so much better than it was, very user friendly, and I encourage you to go through it and play with it and see what you can do. And yeah, I think that's it, and I'd officially like to adjourn the session. And if you guys have any questions, I've had a busy couple of months with some family stuff, but I am always here to answer any questions. And obviously Betsy and Nancy are pros, and Dawn. So feel free to reach out to us for any questions that you have, or if you want to go over anything. And I hope you guys have a wonderful evening.